Yarmuth, a Democrat from Kentucky and a member of the House Bipartisan Immigration Group. It's always good to see you, and I wonder if you're as optimistic as the senator, in spite of the fact that obviously there are still some roadblocks ahead, that there are these amendments that are being put out there, including the one by Pat Leahy. What's your level of optimism right now?
I'm actually still pretty optimistic also. I think what we see in the case of comprehensive immigration reform is there is a diversity of outside interest in getting this done that is almost unprecedented. You have many business groups, including the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. You have all the high-tech industries who have a stake in it. Plus, you have farm growers and farm workers, and you also have the Hispanic caucus and many others. So you have a wide variety of interests, both sides of the political spectrum, who want to get it done. Plus, you have two equally motivated parties politically. Republicans need to make sure that they are not forever doomed with the Hispanic vote, and of course, Hispanic voters have become a very important part of the Democratic coalition. So, in both cases, we're motivated.
As you look at prospects in the House, how influential will the Senate vote be in terms of the margin of victory, and how closely do you think members of the House will be watching to see how much of a slugfest it might be there?
Well, we expect a slugfest here, and the Judiciary Committee is already starting. There will be starting very shortly to hold hearings on aspects of immigration reform. I don't think that we expect the Senate vote to have a real impact on us. We know that the House bill ultimately will be somewhat to the right of whatever the Senate comes up with. We fully expect that the differences will be resolved in conference and not in the respective houses. There's virtually no chance that we would pass the identical bill that the Senate will. So we expect.
How would they be different, do you think? What is going to be the main point of difference?
Well, I think some of the differences might come in the degree of immigrants that are allowed into the country. I think it's going to be mostly pretty nuanced, though. We both will have a path to legalization and ultimately to citizenship. We both deal with border enforcement. We both deal with enforcement against employers. Our provision on creating an enforcement mechanism against employers probably will be a little stricter than the Senate's is. But by and large, we deal with the same elements of immigration reform. We deal with them in similar ways. And again, I don't think the differences are going to be all that great.
I want to switch gears and ask you a little bit about gun safety, if I can. Mayors Against Illegal Guns is running a new ad in New Hampshire. I just want to play a little bit for you.
Kelly Ayotte campaigning.
Washington needs a good dose of New Hampshire common sense.
Well, 89% of New Hampshire supports comprehensive background checks, but Ayotte votes no.
Now she has written an op-ed saying she does support background checks, just not expanding a flawed system, as she puts it. Do you feel the politics changing there on the Hill on guns, and if so, why?
Well, I think many people who were on the side of doing reasonable gun safety legislation assumed that if 90% of the American people were for it, that it was a no-brainer in Congress. Certainly that proved not to be the case in the Senate. I think what you're seeing now is that backlash in New Hampshire, not just the fact that Kelly Ayotte lost job approval numbers, but I think 52% of the people said they were now less likely to vote for her because of that vote. So I think you're seeing the intensity level on the side of gun safety legislation ratchet up, and that's what's been missing so far in the debate.
Congressman John Yarmuth, always good to see you. Thanks.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Chris.
And we'll close.